little hole in the wall bar, right? But Chris and I went there every year from 2002 to probably about 2000. I'm going to say 6 or 7 until he got gout throughout his whole body. He had to quit drinking, so he couldn't hang out with me because, well,
Well, God, I remember it was like 26 years ago. He was trying to. The rat wanted to hook up with me that knew Chris, and I was like,
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, we've been live for like the last minute. So let me.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me tell rat stories while I'm on here.
Oh my God!
Well, hold on
My
a
wife
second.
knows them. My wife knows them. It's no big deal. It's not
My wife knows it.
We're live on like 3,300 radio stations right now, and I have no control over that live button.
Can they see what I'm doing?
When it goes live, I just we just go. I'll tell you what. Let's roll a credit. Here you go, Fight.
Yeah,
we'll be right back,
credit.
folks. It's 4 o'clock in Los Angeles. It's 6 o'clock in Dallas, Texas, and 7 p.m. in New York City. Hello, everybody. I'm Mad Dog Scipio, and this is a very special edition of Wrestling with the Future. Joining me tonight, my co-hostess with the mostest, Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman. How are you, Amelia?
Good. How are you?
I'm staying out of trouble. How about you?
Today, I try to stay out of trouble. It's Monday.
We'll talk about that after the show. We have a very, very special show tonight. The tortured, troubled, tormented life of Billy Jack Haynes. And joining me in that endeavor, a returning guest, Big Lou Marconi. He's an independent professional wrestler and an NWA affiliate. Lou, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
You're quite welcome, my friend.
I got a pop from Amelia.
Yes.
you still do the Cleveland Talk, that sports talk show?
I do the Cleveland
Tell
Sports Talk Show.
About that.
At Burning River Browns Talk on every morning at 8:30 a.m. on the Fanatical Elves Network, and every Sunday on Rumble, the Sunday Stew Pot with Corey Castle.
Fabulous. And a brand new but familiar sight among mine. This is Cue Ball Carmichael. He calls himself Chris Jackson, but fuck that shit. I like that. Cue Ball.
I don't really call me that. That's just the Facebook's one that it picked to sign me in. I was trying to sign in under Cue Ball, and I went to Chris Jackson. So
I know it's a bitch, ain't it?
Nobody knows who that guy is.
Use gimmick names, yeah.
He is an affiliate of the NWA, NWS. He is a friend of many of mine from the Jersey days. Among them, Chris Pally, a.k.a. King Kong Bundy, and Doc Diamond, big old Larry Z. So let's talk. I'm going to start, since you're the new guy here, I'm bringing you up here we'll start talking to you a little bit. Why don't you fill in everybody who doesn't know who you are? Because we had the chance to get to know who Lou is a little bit. Why don't you tell everybody who you are and how you came about here tonight?
Okay. Well, I guess from the start, I wanted to go to wrestling school, and I worked at the Broome County Arena in Binghamton, New York. And there was an old guy, Bimbo Larson. He was a fill-in for the WWF days.
I remember them well.
Yep. He would bump me around a little in the ring, and he's like, I was playing semi-pro football for the Binghamton Jets. And he goes, "You're a pretty big dude. You should really think about going to a wrestling school." And I'm like, ha, ha. He goes, "Why are you laughing?" I go, "They actually have wrestling schools?" He's like, yeah. And he knew I watched it on TV from the time I was a kid. Yeah. So he goes, he gave me 3 places to go. He gave me the Hearts in Calgary. He gave me Vern Gagne in Minnesota. Now, I'm in upstate New York near the snow belt. So I don't want to go anywhere colder than that. So then he gives me Honolulu, Hawaii in my VA school. And also Lars Anderson on the other side of the island ran a school. So sold everything I owned, 1982, way before we had cell phones and internet, and jumped a flight. Didn't know where I was going to stay. Got over there. Within 2 hours, I found a room I figured out how to get around in a taxi, rented a room, and went to Lars Anderson's first and knocked on the door. And he goes, 6'2", 225. He said, "You're too small." I'm like, "What?" So I went over to my Via's. Yeah, too small. I went over. I was bigger than his champion. So I went over to the other side of the island to Leah my Via. And she's like, "Yeah, sure. If you can pay for training, you can go." I said, "I can pay." And, worst thing you could do back in those days, right? What was to pay him up front, Mad Dog, because you know what they did to you for the first 6 or 8 weeks, right?
Brother, they stretched the shit out of you.
Oh, man, it was terrible, dude.
I know a little bit about that. My way into wrestling was by family. My uncle was Phil Zacco.
Oh, all right.
So you know that name.
Yep.
See, Lou's too young. Lou doesn't know Phil because he's too young.
He's too young. He's just a kid.
Too much of a white meat baby face. Yep.
Right? White meat baby. There's a term you don't hear anymore.
Did I say that out loud?
Yeah, right. Let us talk about
it's funny to me because I'm the godfather of Lou's first daughter. Right.
Yes.
My wife and I are the godparents of Lou's firstborn daughter. So inside those jokes, everybody thinks is racist. Lou's wife is not Caucasian. Just so everybody knows.
All right.
So Lou is not a racist by any stretch of the imagination.
She laughed at the joke. She rolled her eyes when I said, "That's a great joke." Well, I tried it on one of the co-hosts on the last Tuesday, the podcast that I was on. Her husband was black, and he laughed. He thought it was hilarious.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
We love race-based humor here anyways. I laugh at everything. It's all
like this because
when I tell you what though, on a serious note, when we stop laughing at ourselves, that's where the real trouble starts.
Absolutely.
As long as you're laughing, brother, it's all gravy. It really is. Tonight we have a very, very special and rather serious show to do. And we want to get right into it. The troubled life of Billy Jack Haynes is the topic. A lot of shows featuring Billy Jack right now, a lot of podcasts, a lot of news programs. Yet again, wrestling is in the news, and not for all the good reasons that it should be. After this amazing WrestleMania, people are still talking about, what about that Billy Jack? Well, let me just tell everybody who might be living under a rock. WWE wrestler Billy Jack Haynes has been charged with murder, according to police in Portland, Oregon. The Portland Police Bureau said in a news release that Haynes, who is 70, has been booked with the Multnomah County Detention Center on charges of murder in the second degree for unlawful use of a weapon after killing his wife, Janette Becraft, 85. She was found dead in the couple's home in Portland, in the neighborhood of Lents, the Lents neighborhood. On February 8th, the police responded to find the property barricaded and Billy Jack weaponed up and loaded for bear inside that home. There was a 9-hour standoff that led to his giving himself up. That's the short version, folks. We have more. So let me go right to Amelia on this one. Amelia, when did you hear about this? And give me your thoughts on this. What was the first thing you thought of? I'm like, no, another wrestler. Oh my God, another one screwed up. What happened?
I was just thinking, like, oh my gosh, what had happened? Why a standoff? What was going on in his mind mentally? Was he not wanting to go to jail? Was he on drugs? Was he, was something going on that he didn't want to get caught? Was there more in the house that they didn't want the police to find? Something like that.
That's a loaded question, girl.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions. Yeah, there's a lot of rabbit holes with this story. So
when we are going down every rabbit hole, cue ball. I'm gonna bring you up here.
All right.
The Billy Jack story, a surprise to you or not at all?
Not at all. Not at all. Look, he's been trying to pick a fight with Steve Austin for the last 20 years.
He still is. He's still
trying to
fight him.
And he's been arrested for drugs and drug trafficking before. So does anything really surprise you when somebody's involved in that stuff?
No.
Yeah,
No.
not really.
The answer, unfortunately, is no.
And I think that's going to be the overwhelming theme of the night.
Oh, yeah.
I was made aware of this before it broke. I will tell you that.
Wow.
I have my connections in wrestling go back 50 years. I've been in this business for 50 years. And I will tell you that all kinds of people are willing to come forward and give you a heads up before things happen.
Mhm.
When the Billy Jack case was going on live at the time, I was getting live phone call updates from the scene. And it was a veritable barricade situation. They had SWAT teams, they had all the local and county regional police there. This was a bad dude when he was fired up. He was a bad dude when he was fired up. And people, if you're a drug user, you know what I mean by fired up. Lou,
Yes.
my suspicion is that not a surprise to you. Talk to me, my brother.
No, not at all. No, I was just about to make a point. Didn't he also do time in prison for manslaughter at one point because he got into a bar fight with a guy and he killed him?
Yes, that happened.
Yeah,
Yep.
that happened. Yeah,
Happened in Portland, as a matter of fact.
yeah. Which is just like I've seen his interviews. I've watched his YouTube clips, and it's just like your heart goes out to this guy because he lost his mind. I mean, honestly,
You know, it's funny, Lou, because we were talking about that. Millie and I were talking about before we went on the air tonight. And I have to say something. And I think I can pinpoint when this happened. Billy Jack was very, very close with Hercules Hernandez. When Hercules Hernandez passed away, I could see the snap happen. They were really, really tight, these guys. They were married to each other. Guys in the business, Cue Ball and Lou know what I'm talking about. When you're married to a guy, that means you're working the circuit with him every day, 365 all year long.
You see him more than your wife. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they were married for a tour that lasted probably 15, 16 months. So when Hercules Hernandez passed away, for Billy Jack, it was like losing a spouse.
Yeah.
That's when he snapped. But to the degree that he did, surprised even the most hardened skeptics like myself, because I've seen everything in this business, or I thought I had anyway.
Right.
But this took it to a whole nother level. This was like on a whole different level. You guys know about the story that Billy Jack told, I guess around circa 1986, 87, about finding two boys on a railroad track? Okay.
Yeah,
Lou, I want to let you, since you acknowledge that, I want to tell everybody what I'm talking about.
Well, okay, this was actually appeared on that NBC show, Unsolved Mysteries. Did you ever remember that show with Robert Stack?
I remember the episode. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, because this was interesting because these two kids in Arkansas went out to hunt at night, and they were doing an illegal form of hunting where they had a flashlight and a rifle. And what the illegal form was, they were going to shine a light blinding the animal and then firing, which was illegal at the state. So they went out to do it, and they followed these railroad tracks. Now, supposedly, like 6 hours later, the boys' bodies were laying on the track, covered in a tarp, and the rifle was laying next to them. And the conductor, or whoever was running the engineer, who was ever running the train, kept hitting the horn, and they didn't move.
Yeah,
and he couldn't stop in time, and he ran them over.
Yeah.
So nobody knows what happened to him. Now, the medical examiner said they tested positive for marijuana up to they said 20, 30 marijuana cigarettes, which when we heard that, and I was in high school at the time, we laughed.
Oh,
we
absolutely.
said that's complete bullshit. Nobody does that much.
Bullshit.
Nobody smokes that much. So
not at all.
So the story Billy Jack said was that it was a drug drop. There was a drug trafficking drop. The boys just happened to show up, and they had to kill him.
It was a matter of as I believed the story at the time. Believe it or not, guys, I have to tell you something. I heard that story from a very credible source, not Billy Jack Haynes, by the way. Someone in Little Rock. Let's put it that way. I
And
will tell you, I believe the story. There was absolutely a drug drop. That train track was used often.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lou.
two other things. Billy Jack claims the then governor of Arkansas was future President Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton, yeah.
And Hillary were involved in this.
Oh,
The
I'm
medical
ready for
state-
you, kid.
The state medical examiner was
Mhm.
corrupted by Clinton and them to lie on these autopsies.
Does that surprise anybody?
No.
And I'm not being political. I'm just saying this is what Billy Jack was saying.
Oh,
Mhm.
brother,
And this
I'll
is-
be
this-
political
yeah.
all night long. I got news for
But
you.
I'm not trying to be. I'm just saying, look, I'm just stating what he said, which I could believe it. I could believe that.
I
mean-
absolve you, but trust me, I absolve you. Okay, you've got
just like Epstein
Father
didn't hang
Angelo's
himself, right?
absolution.
You know?
It's all good. But I will tell you that
Right.
there's nothing. I wouldn't pass a blessed thing past Bill or Hillary.
No.
No.
They're as evil as the fucking day is long.
Oh yeah.
Pieces of shit in skin.
Wouldn't
Okay.
trust those people with anything.
The
Not
trail of death behind
not
them is
a
a mile
fucking
long.
thing. I want to talk about the blurred line that Billy Jack walked, and he did walk a very blurred line. Much of what he said was credible. Where he became literally incredible was when he started to infuse wildly crazy conspiracy theories in with the truth. Now, the truth will always stand on its own merit. But then when you muddy the waters with conspiracy theories, then you're walking a very mucky road. The lines become very, very blurred, muddy blurred between reality and fantasy, or reality and the blurred mind in his case. And it really, really, and I felt bad for the guy. I really did. That was until I heard his RF video shoot with Rob Feinstein, who was a friend of mine, and no longer is. I will divert this to cue ball. Let's talk about this for a minute. Billy Jack, over the course of time in the last 10 to 15 years, has really made kind of a second career of doing shoot interviews. And I know that you've seen a number of them.
Yep.
Let's talk about the interview he did with Canadian wrestler Hannibal.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, you already gave me the response I'm looking for. I'm not saying a word, Cuba. I'm going to bring you up on the big camera, tell the world.
Well, I think it was clear after that interview that he totally lost his mind, right?
Thank you.
I mean, if you do enough drugs long enough, I mean, I was a police officer for a short period of time, 7-8 years, and I can tell you, I've seen it before. But when you do it consistently over years, it shoots away your brain, and you know, he was so. It was kind of like you're, you know, in a different context, like the Ultimate Warrior, right?
Yeah.
How he was kind of really out there, but controlled. And Billy Jack was out there on a different level and uncontrolled. I mean, I saw that video and I saw it twice because I couldn't make any sense out of it.
Yeah.
He just sounded completely insane to me and angry.
Well, you're going to hear a part of the documentary that I produced for YouTube. I'm going to play it for you tonight. Before I do that, I want to put the entire story into perspective. So let's take a look at the actual news clip that broke that night, and then we'll talk about it.
WWE star was in court and has been arraigned in the shooting death of his 85-year-old wife.
The Fox 12's Drew Marine, William Billy Jack Haynes arraignment, and she joins us now live. Drew?
He's facing unlawful use of a weapon and murder charges today after the alleged shooting led to an hours-long standoff with Portland police earlier this month.
Next matter is going to be page 22, line 3, Mr. Haynes.
Former wrestling star William Billy Jack Haynes appeared in court for the first time Thursday after being accused of shooting and killing his 85-year-old wife, Janette Becraft, who neighbors say was struggling with dementia. On February 8th, Portland police responded to a shooting at a home in the Lents neighborhood. They say Haynes was arrested after an hours-long standoff, and then they found a woman, now identified as Becraft, dead inside. Now 70-year-old Haynes used to star in the old Portland wrestling promotion that aired on KPTV and went on to wrestle in what's now known as WWE in the 80s. He and Becraft were known by neighbors as Billy and Jan, and neighbors we spoke with the day of the shooting say they were shocked to hear the news.
A great community around here, a lot of veterans that are in my dad's vet as well, and so was Billy. And I did love him dearly, and we loved Jen as well. So, yeah. But, yeah, like I said, it's a tragedy all around.
Evidently, if you don't know the demographics here, the Lents neighborhood in Portland is quite affluent. Mrs. Billy Jack Haynes, whose name was Jean, where were you? Hold on, folks. Oh, Janette Becraft. She was 85. She was apparently worth somewhere around $1.5 million, $1.7 million. Her former husband, or late husband, I should say, was a successful attorney who amassed a small fortune. Billy Jack may have been crazy, but he wasn't stupid. He knew that, I believe he knew that he was at some point going to take advantage of a woman with a lot of money and try to get himself declared as either her power of attorney. Oh.
What's that?
His mic is off.
Yeah. Cue Ball's mic is off.
Mute. I can hear you, Chris. I'm here. It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
My we're good here, folks.
Now his camera's off.
Well, he's still there though, isn't he?
His camera's off too, it looks like.
Amelia, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I can hear you. Yes, sir.
So it's not on my end. Okay.
I think it's him.
I think it's his internet. I think he might be having an issue down in North Carolina. He's in North Carolina.
Well, I'll tell you what. Then we'll just talk until
There he is.
There he is.
There's Chris. Yeah, Chris is back. Okay. So Mrs. Billy Jack Haynes, as I was saying, had a little bit of cash, and I think, as crazy as Billy Jack Haynes was, he's certainly not stupid. And I believe, as I said previously, I'm convinced of it now, especially knowing how much money she had. I'm convinced that he was trying to either have her declared incompetent and become her power of attorney, or work his way into her will, which, as I have found out, he was not a part of. Questions or comments? Lou, what do you think about that?
Well, it is a possibility. Was he legally married to her?
Yes.
And he wasn't in her will. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting how she and I did hear the story when it broke that it was played off like he did this as a mercy killing because she was suffering so badly from dementia.
I think, what you probably heard the same thing I did, that he was putting her out of her pain.
Yeah, it was
kind of a euthanasia thing.
Yes.
He was playing Kevorkian.
Yeah. Did you see how man? You heard my reaction when we saw him in court, wheeled in a wheelchair.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. I mean, this was the guy that me growing up as a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
In the 80s, I think I talked about this. I didn't have internet in the 80s. I didn't have computers or anything like that. So if I wanted to get caught up on wrestling, I went to the store where the magazine stand was, and I grabbed all the magazines. Who's on the cover of all these
Absolutely.
magazines?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Billy Jack Haynes, because he looked like $1 million. He was
Oh my
amazing.
God, yeah. You're going to
Yeah.
see that tonight too, by the way.
Yeah, so that's kind of like to see him like that now. It's like, wow, it's kind of just sad. It's
It
just like,
breaks your
geez.
heart. It really does.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
really, really does. I had the privilege, the honor and privilege, I should say, of seeing Billy Jack Haynes wrestle in person several times. He came in and out of Philadelphia all the time at the Spectrum, and of course the Atlantic City Convention Center, where they did wrestling every month there. And so I had a chance to see, and he was built like a brick shithouse, brother.
Yeah.
He was built.
What year
I mean,
was
he
this?
was straight up, he was a bodybuilder. He had that bodybuilder physique, like Lou used to have when he was.
Don't pay attention to him.
I'm busting you. This is coming from a short, little, fat Italian guy. Don't worry about it.
No, I was asked, how do I keep in shape? And I told him I use energy drink and boner pills.
There you go. I got remind Amelia. Write that down.
Never disappointing.
I have to write that down. Energy drinks and boner pills. Okay.
Yep.
So I have to buy. I got to buy Viagra and protein drink.
Yes, Red Bull and Cialis.
There you go. Absolutely. So,
they'll appreciate the
let's talk
endorsement
about
I
this.
give them.
Right. Your next sponsor is.
That's right.
Chris mentioned that Billy Jack was on a different level of crazy. Well, let's talk about that. Then this literally says Billy Jack Haynes is on another level of crazy. Not only is he still challenging Steve Austin to fights to this very day in 2024, he's been fired from various jobs and arrested numerous times for trafficking, threats of violence against people, and a litany of charges too numerous to mention. To add to this, he went on the record saying that fellow wrestler Kevin Sullivan, who has been a guest on my show several times, Kevin's been here a lot, and I like Kevin, and we're friends. To add to this, he said that Kevin Sullivan ordered the murder of Chris Benoit and his wife Nancy, and he says that he was complicit in it. Oh, wait a minute.
He ordered it, and was he there?
He says he was complicit in it, whatever complicit, quote unquote, complicit in the murder of Chris Benoit and his wife Nancy, and they and quote, they were framed for it. Now I don't know how you frame the victims of their own murder, but hey, again, we're talking about a guy who's maybe not all there. Here's what happens. Some people say this. As of April 16th, 2020, his agent, Eric Sims, who I also know, says that and he's a piece of shit, by the way. Eric's a piece of shit.
100%.
Yes, sir. He says that he lost contact with Billy Jack and had no idea where he was as of 2020. In an interview with Canadian wrestler Hannibal, he says that Hannibal says that Billy Jack was in, quote, a low mood, unquote, following the death of his friend, wrestler Rip Oliver. That also happened, by the way, when Hercules Hernandez passed. He got very moody, very solemn. He also said that he has no idea where Haynes may have gone, as he seems to have, quote, fallen off the grid. This is important to note that this is at this time is when he resurfaced again, married in Portland, Oregon, to Janette. Again, for whatever reason, her last name keeps eluding me. Becraft, Janette Becraft. So we can talk about this. We're gonna go down this rabbit hole. Was he on a bender, fellas? Did he go off the rails? Was he doing drugs again? Or was he, as he says, in witness protection? And why would he need to be in witness protection? Because he says he was in WITTEC.
Yeah, sure he was.
He used that word, WITTEC.
From himself?
Yeah. If you know the witness protection program, people in the program never say witness protection. They say WITTEC. And being a former police officer, Chris Jackson knows that.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
He was hanging out with Henry Hill from Goodfellas.
Well, I actually met Henry.
Henry Hill from Goodfellas was a reference.
Henry was a good fella.
Henry Hill.
Was.
Yes, yes.
So let's
Using
talk about that,
witness
guys. Let's talk
protection,
about
yeah.
that. Well,
Sure.
we got to talk about this because there are things going on here, and I know we're making light of it, but I don't want to do that. I wanted, because this is a man with some serious mental and emotional baggage who may, even in custody, may hurt somebody. It's happened before. Vern Gagne killed 2 people in an old folks home. People don't know that, but he did.
He did.
Okay? So we're talking about something quite serious here. Wrestlers know how to hurt people. Even wrestlers that aren't mentally competent especially know how to hurt people. Chris, you want to take this one?
Yeah.
What do we do here? How do we handle this?
This guy's got to be in protective custody for everybody else around him. I mean, he can't be in Gen Pop. He can't be in a 40-man pod. He's got to be in a cell of his own for everybody's protection. I mean, he's, who knows what he's going to do? Obviously, clearly, he hasn't thought right in years, right?
Yeah.
If you're trafficking drugs, you don't want to be your best customer. And I think he probably was. And so that takes a real toll on brain cells. And when you start to lose a lot of brain cells from hard drug use, and you're also, especially if you're using meth, which I think was a big thing for him. That alters your brain chemistry, right?
Yep.
And reduces your dopamine. But not only that, the firing in your neurons is reduced. So you almost go to primal thinking. And that primal thinking is eat and hurt somebody.
Yeah.
That's the 3 primal things, right?
Absolutely,
Kill things,
sure.
eat things, and F things.
Yeah.
So, and I'm afraid that's
please.
Well, you mentioned the one drug of choice of Billy Jack Haynes was meth.
Yeah.
He was clearly a meth head and said publicly in the RF video shoot and on kayfabe commentaries you shoot that that was his preferred drug of choice, meth.
He said it.
And he also was he was fond of the liquid spirits.
Yeah.
He liked to drink. But he
Bad
wasn't a beer guy.
combination.
Most wrestlers that I've known are beer guys. He wasn't a beer guy. He was a whiskey kind of guy. Like Harley. Harley was a whiskey guy. Harley drank beer, but he was a whiskey guy for sure. I want to talk to Lou. I'm going to bring you up here too, kid.
All right.
Let me bring you up. Let's
50
talk
years old,
about
I'm a kid. I love it.
Right? Let's talk. Well, you're still younger than I am.
With you.
I want to talk about the implications of Billy Jack's career on future generations who may have either gotten into the business because of him or he was inspired. Someone was inspired to get into the business because of Billy Jack. And it's not impossible. A lot of people you guys know, you're wrestlers.
Yeah.
You get into this business, Lou, because somebody inspired you. They were a role model. They were the juice that got you going.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I know Brian Adams' crush was influenced by him, because he's from the Portland territory too. I'm trying to think who else possibly could have.
Oh, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be someone known. Even
yeah.
We're gonna look at a video that I produced for YouTube in a second, Lou. But before I do, I want you to elaborate on the lasting impact on. No, seriously, I want you to elaborate on the lasting impact of Billy Jack Haynes' professional career. Will he be erased from the books?
No.
as WWE seems to like to erase people from history, as if they never existed or never happened.
How long was he at WWE? What, maybe a year or two? He did one.
No,
WrestleMania.
no, sir.
I
He
remember.
was
I'm
with
trying to remember.
WWE on and off for 11 years.
On and off for 11 years. Okay,
On
'cause I
and
remember
off
he
for
did one
11
WrestleMania where he worked Hercules Hernandez.
Well, that's when Vince was in his queer phase for bodybuilders, right? Billy
Yeah,
Jack.
Yes, sir. No, you're
Billy Jack and
absolutely right.
Hercules were the first two guys. And
Yeah.
Vince
Absolutely.
just
Oh, yeah.
loved them.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me tell you some bodybuilders in the late 70s and 80s were like, Vince McMahon's euphoric juice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was his protein drink and boner pills. He liked anything that had muscles.
True story.
True story. Yes.
True
Well,
story. And I'm not lying. You guys know.
I'm thinking he's not going to be erased, but I'm waiting to see next season. There'll be a Dark Side of the Ring about this story, about this man's life. And it's just going to be heartbreaking to watch.
It's already in the works. I can tell you that, that Jason that Jason is already on it. Jason Eisner is already on it. Jason's been on the show before. The producer of Dark Side of the Ring has been a guest here. And I know him fairly well. I know him to have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that will be one for the books for sure.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be at least a 3-parter. Yeah. At least a 3-parter.
Just a lot of stories about him.
Oh my God. The stories from wrestlers range from of sound mind and body to batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Where do you stand in that rather wide parameter?
I've never interacted with him or met him, to be honest with you. I never did. The time I've been in the business, because I never been in the same place he was. The stories I've heard was that he was a very soft-spoken, just kept to himself. He was but they said don't piss him off.
You're going to hear that. You're going to hear that
don't
tonight.
piss him off. So I'm kind of like, it's maybe as he got older and the drugs took over and he started losing his mind gradually. I think it happened. It was a gradual thing. It got worse, but maybe when he was younger, it was just like, hey, he's a guy with a short fuse. So a wrestler with a hot head. So that's really, what a surprise.
You're going to now, this is about 3.5 minutes. I want you guys to pay attention to this. Amelia, pay close attention there. I want her eyes just plugged down.
All right. Her eyes glazed over a little.
Like, what am I watching here?
Take a look at this video. We'll talk about it on the other side. Here you go. I produced this for YouTube.
Haynes, former World Wrestling Federation wrestler. Today I come with no mask. I come with no hidden voice. I come to you straight face to face because this is reality, man. Don't hide nothing. 30 years ago, I witnessed the murder of 2 teenagers on the railroad tracks August 23rd in Alexander, Arkansas. 27 years of that, I was a drug addict on pain pill medication. I become clean. It kept bothering me and bothering me and bothering me, and finally, when Seth Rich was killed July 10th, I knew that was a message to me because that's my birthday, July 10th. So here I am coming forward. I agreed to assist with security at the drug drop site. While conducting security for the drug money drop, I witnessed the murders of 2 young boys, Kevin Ives and Don Henry. They were murdered by other individuals who were working for the same criminal politician. Their bodies were placed on the railroad tracks to be mutilated by a passing train. In late 2016, I contacted Linda Ives and informed her that I was on the railroad tracks, and when her son was murdered, I was there. I have since met Larry and Linda Ives and their private investigator, Keith Ronsaval. I gave them a statement outing everything that I knew about their sons and Don Henry's murders.
All right, fellas. In his own words, Billy Jack Haynes, you heard him from sublime to raising his voice quite substantially. Whoever wants to jump in here, Amelia, Lou, Chris, who wants to jump in here? Go ahead, Chris.
You know, he tells the story so vividly. And
Yeah.
you have to think, like my partner, the first 2 years in law enforcement, just ended up shooting a guy a year ago. And even though it was, he had no chance to not do it. The guy was on PCP. He was huge. He kept coming, tased him. He just pulled it out. He was the only officer there. He had to take his life. And I've been talking to him a lot last year, and he's just now able to go back part-time, but he's not even carrying a gun. So I kind of know sort of what happens to somebody that takes a life. And if you can imagine Billy Jack being there and being a part of that and probably could have stopped it, but didn't. It makes you wonder if that wasn't the impetus that drove him down the road of a hard addiction. And maybe that and losing Hercules and losing other friends, maybe that just drove this guy. I mean, we got to look at everything. You know, we got to look at the totality of circumstances, as we say in law enforcement. You see this guy go to pieces after this alleged incident, which he recalls with extreme clarity.
Great clarity. I mean, if you put this guy, if you as an officer, Chris, put this guy on a stand in court, that jury's going to convict whoever he's testifying against.
100%.
He's that believable.
100%.
And you're making the point right now that I was setting up earlier. There's that fine line between his incredible believability and the quote unquote batshit crazy Billy Jack, the conspiracy kook. That it's like that water has been so muddied. How do you separate the dirt?
Well, you know, I've got a little bit of experience with my son was a incredible meth addict between the ages of about 17 and 24. Before I convinced him to go out to New Beginnings Rehab in California and get clean and come back. He's 6'1", big kid, right? Went out 169 pounds, ate steak, lifted weights, came back 225, rock solid.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, 18 months after he got clean, he got murdered. But, you know, I'm familiar with that paranoia and that thing that comes with meth where, like, he thought everybody was always out trying to get him, and everything was a conspiracy theory when he was using. So I saw it for 6 or 7 years firsthand, and I can tell you that if you throw Billy Jack, having seen something that horrible, of 2 young boys being killed, and you throw him into and listen, you know, certain things that happen when you're a kid do that to people. Certain things you see as an adult do that to people, and it sends him to a place where he can bury it and forget it while he's using, while he's drinking, while he's taking pills.
Yeah,
you know, you gotta almost believe this is about the time that he started going off the rails.
And I am so with you on this. But I need you to answer a question for me. I can't wrap my head around this, and I'm a pretty intelligent guy, but there's some things I just can't comprehend. What is, and maybe you can explain it to me. Maybe Lou, maybe you could jump in here.
I'll see.
Amelia, if you want to. What's the connection between drug use and paranoid conspiracies? What is this? There's an inextricable link between conspiracy theories and drug use.
Alters brain chemicals.
Why, where? Anybody here that wants to jump in, please.
Yeah, if you ever, like, even when you're doing something as recreational as marijuana, you get that, wait a second, like you get that kind of edgy feeling. That's just something that's considered like recreational today.
Sure.
And it's like, because it's like you're looking around like, wait a second, is somebody here or somebody checking us out? Oh my God. I've been in hotels when wrestlers are looking out the people saying the cops are coming down the hall. I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen. And I'm like, I think we're okay. And so, I think it's just being in that, the mind altered puts you in that, in that, like, edginess.
Well, it's proven fact. Methamphetamine changes the chemical makeup of the brain. I obviously looked into this, and it alters the state. It number one is it kills your natural production of dopamine. Right? I mean, wrestlers are already guys who get off on the excitement of 25,000 people. Lou and I both had the pleasure of wrestling for the WWF back in the day in front of 25,000 people. And I can tell you, by the time I walked to the ring, I was blown up. And that was back in the day when I could wrestle for 20, 30 minutes and not blow up.
It's exhausting, isn't it?
Yeah. The adrenaline pump of just going down there. And then we become adrenaline junkies. And I've jumped out of airplanes and I've parasailed. And I've done 145 miles an hour on a motorcycle and 160 in a police charger. And just you just become such an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
That that meth is an artificial dose of adrenaline. The problem with it is it affects the neurons, the neuroreceptors, and it affects the natural production of dopamine in your brain. So without continued use of that meth, you have absolutely no dopamine active in your brain, right?
Yeah.
And you're just lethargic, and then you start tweaking, and then it gets real ugly, right? So,
I would say this: what he said, Billy Jack, he believes it. True or not true, he believes what he's saying.
That is incredibly crucial in his overall believability, and not only as a person, but as someone who allegedly witnessed what clearly appears to be a crime happening.
Yeah.
Because now you're talking about not just him as a person, now you're talking about him as a potential witness.
Right.
Where'd he go?
He went to his, I guess, went on the light or something.
Turn his light on.
Turn your back light on.
Yep.
Yeah, because
the ambient light is going away.
Dark. Well,
I look better in the dark, but
let me state for the record, I'm not an adrenaline junkie. I'm not jumping out of shit. I'm a pussy, and I like sitting in my chair.
Now, did it when I was younger, man.
I get my adrenaline a different way, but we won't.
There you go. I hear you. Now, Amelia. Speaking of adrenaline, Amelia, make the because you're familiar because of what you do for a living. You're familiar with dealing with people with substance issues, those kind of problems, being in the medical profession.
Well, I know firsthand from someone that was on a drug, crack, and they got so bad with adrenaline that they literally ripped our door.
Well, let's talk about the connection between the drugs and something that you're familiar with, conspiracies. Now, I will say for the record, Amelia and I we're kindred spirits because we're both conspiracy kooks.
Oh, me too.
But not to the point where, I'm willing to say that, I shot JFK because
I was too young for that, but I was born on that day. But
right?
That year.
Yeah. By the way, just so we have everything clear here, my birthday also is July 10th. So I have to absolve myself from the Billy Jack, mojo here. So we're not all crazy, only a little bit. Amelia, the connection between the conspiracy theorists and that the elements of narcotics, you see it in your profession.
Yes,
we just heard Chris talk about it firsthand. Can you shed some light on this from a medical standpoint? Give us a little heads up.
But yeah, people will believe what they, like he was saying, people will believe what they see and hear because they're going to try to make a story up and they're going to try to make it so convincing to everyone that they're going to want to make it believe. And if they say, oh, well, look at that, I heard a rocket fire or I heard all these noises, they're going to say it so convincingly, they're going to want to make everybody believe the story from A to B. And they're going to say
And
it so perfect.
that's really important, what you just said. That's critical, in fact, what you just said. Is Chris and Lou, is it, as Amelia just said, is it crucial that the individual has someone who not only supports them but believes them? How important is that?
You want to go first, Chris, or you want me to?
Yeah, well, you know what? There's no greater con man than a good person who uses a lot of drugs, because it changes them, right?
It does. It much does.
And
Yes.
they will talk their mother out of their last dollar.
Yes.
I've met people that have done that. So,
yeah.
you know, and they want everybody to believe their conspiracies too. So, but what I find is that this story that he talks about in the railroad tracks has a lot of facts around it, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of facts, and that's really before he was completely gone. Did this happen? And this is an old event from the 80s, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could see somebody hiring Billy Jack to watch over a drug run, right? Number one, he likes it. Number two, he's got adrenaline from doing it. And number three, he's a big fucking monster. So he'd be the guy I'd hire if I was going to do a drug drop to make sure shit went down straight, right?
Well, yeah,
So-
you saw what he looked like in that film clip. He was jacked up.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
His liver was screaming, right, Chris? His liver was screaming.
Dude, he was taking a lot of something. But
Yeah.
you know, I hung out with bikers that used to do nothing but drink beer, lift weights, and take steroids. That's all.
Yeah.
I would see them eat once
Well,
a day, but they would drink.
You just open the Pandora's box.
They
There,
would
Cue Ball.
lift, and they would get big just like he was. I mean,
You
it's
just
crazy.
opened up the Pandora's box, Cue Ball.
I did.
People have systematically blamed everything and then some on the illicit use of steroids. First of all, that we should be clear about
PEDs.
Steroids are legal in 47 of the 50 states in this
They don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah. Performance enhancing
and
drugs.
you know what?
have been
And I
in
believe
sports
that,
since the
Lou.
50s.
I believe that, Lou.
They don't know what the hell they're talking about.
What are you laughing at, Amelia?
Who knows?
Oh, I got you. Okay, I didn't see that. I didn't know that Luke spoke
she's
sign
pointing at me.
language. Okay.
He was skiing. I think he was skiing.
Yes. Double
That's
fisting.
sign language for
They're
beat
full
down.
of shit. They're full of shit.
Well,
Go ahead, sir. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Mr. Mad Dog. Go ahead.
There's a fine line between using PEDs and abusing PEDs, right?
Thank you.
That's
true.
the difference.
We should make a valid point of the fact that performance enhancing drugs are legal in 47 of the 50 states.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Aside from that, I can't see why or how a steroid or a performance enhancing drug did in any way, shape, or form add to his either mental cognitive ability or detract from his mental cognitive ability.
Agreed.
It doesn't affect it.
I mean,
that way.
it's
It doesn't do
either.
that.
The other thing is we know nothing about his mother or father.
Right.
We're talking about something that could legitimately be genetic.
Right.
Sure.
We know nothing about. Was his mother or father a drug user, alcoholic, were they
Bipolar.
dependent on
We don't know.
prescription? Yeah, we don't know anything about
Don't
it.
know.
No family history.
Yeah,
No,
no family history.
exactly.
He could have had mental illness in his family history, right?
Exactly right.
I think every wrestler has it in his family. That's why he ends up in wrestling. Or
Yeah.
she.
And you are closer to the truth than you know. You really are.
I know. I am.
There
You're
is
absolutely
something wrong
closer
with
to the-
us.
I'll tell you
There's
what,
something.
man. This is. I'm glad we did this show tonight. I have to tell you,
Oh, you and me both.
I
me
got
too.
some answers. I'm going to give Lou his own show called the Lou Marconi Comedy Hour.
That's right.
You can't stop making jokes.
It's what I do.
I know it's what you do.
When Lou and Manny Fernandez and I were hanging out in a bar one night, Lou was not the funny guy.
No, it was Manny.
And I were.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm also a controlled professional on screen, Lou. That's the difference.
There you go. Amelia, what do we got coming up?
Oh, let me see. I gotta get my book out. If I could stop laughing.
What did I do? What did I just make some jokes?
What did you do?
I got two crazy lunatics I'm going to be bringing back often as I can.
You know, we haven't even gone down the road of Lou and I traveling together for years.
Oh God, yeah.
Well, no, that's going to be a separate issue of Wrestling with the Future.
I got
sure.
a very, very interesting.
Look, I was with the Iron Sheik on the road for 3 straight years.
Jesus Christ, with Cos.
Yeah, I want to hear them road.
Oh my God!
What we got?
And Public Enemy. Oh my God!
Angry Geek Show tomorrow.
Oh, you knew Rocco?
Oh, of course.
Ted Petty was a good friend of mine.
Yeah, Rocco. I look. I knew Johnny Rocco for years, man. Traveled with him.
Rocco,
you
my
didn't
boy
want to
Ted
get those.
Petty.
You didn't want those guys together with the Iron Sheik because little old me, who wasn't into any illicit, recreational drugs, did not get a night's sleep.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, Ted Petty was just a sweet guy.
Look,
man, he was a guy.
He was a freaking saint, man. He was. I mean, he was a great guy, just a great human.
He really was. Teddy was just a sweet, good guy.
Super talented.
I hated that he died
talented.
the way he died.
The shit he was doing in his 40s, nobody else was doing at that age.
Yeah, I know, brother. I know.
No, he was something else, man.
That man was an entertainer. He was an athlete and was great at what he did.
Yep.
100%. And he started a long time ago. But he was at this for up to the point where he passed away. He was at this for 25, almost 30 years.
Yeah.
Tell him the story when I did the seminar with Harley Race, what I did and how much he's like smiling from ear to ear because I got pissed at this dude.
We're gonna have to save that for a show with you guys.
Remember that, Chris?
I'm up against the clock here, you guys. Amelia, what do we got coming up?
Tomorrow we're going to be talking to the Angry Geeks about conspiracy theories.
The Angry Geeks tomorrow night. Conspiracy theories abound with the Angry Geeks.
I could do that show too if you need. I'm just kidding.
Well, we're gonna bring you guys back. Amelia and I we already talked about it.
She watches my Sunday Stew Pod show. She laughs her ass off.
I lost control of this show an hour.
He's funny on Sundays.
Yeah, the Sunday show.
Cue Ball Carmichael and Big Lou Marconi. I don't stand the fucking chance with this. I lost control of this show.
Man, I write shit. The thing is with Corey, the key with him is I can't run the joke by him first because he'll laugh when I first tell it, but then if I tell it on the show, he no sells it, and I'm like.
Run it by Amelia. She's a great audience.
Yes.
Just surprise him from now on.
If she laughs, it's funny.
Yeah, I don't. That's what I do. I don't tell him. I just do it and just get his natural reaction.
You got to do it that way. Organic. It's organic.
I prefer organic reactions. Yeah, and there's a way to be funny and on the edge without crossing the line. That takes real talent because a lot of idiots cross the line.
That's not you, dude. You cross the line all the time.
Me?
Oh, you just seen that show. You have to.
It was great.
Send him that link to that show.
Said, look, here's the key: is you can't cross the line. This mofo crosses the line constantly.
You have to send him that link to that show. That's too funny.
What show? Oh, my show?
The Stupot. Yeah, it's great.
What? Send it to Mad Dog? The reel that I did?
No, to Mr. Jackson. That's funny.
To those of you around the world listening, hoping to hear.
Everybody calls me Q, so just Q's good.
Q's good. He sees he's a part of it. He sees it. He tells
me.
To
my audience around the world, waiting to hear on the record, you're going to have to wait a little longer because Chris and Lou aren't done yet.
Fuck that. That's fine. All right.
All right.
Amelia, what else we got?
We get it. We
No.
get it.
Yeah, just
We have,
yeah, if there was a trap door, we'd be gone. So
we'd be like, whoop, gone.
fuck.
I'm having fun. Go ahead, Neil.
And then Wednesday, we're gonna be talking to in
Oh, I'm so
conversation
glad you
with.
had me on. I remember you from years ago in Jersey.
Will you let her talk? Let her talk.
Yeah, sorry.
She has
I'm
a job
sorry,
to do,
Amelia.
Chris.
That's
I was talking to Mad Dog. I was like, yeah.
There you go.
In
As soon as I
conversation.
heard the name, I'm like, I know that guy.
I know that guy. This fucking guy.
I've
This
been
fucking
around a
guy.
long time, bro. I've been around the business a long time.
Well, you've been around
50
50 years. I've been around 42. So, you know, we
Yes,
crossed
sir.
paths somewhere.
Yeah,
We
for
know
sure.
a lot
Oh,
of
I'm
these
sure.
people.
Well, you worked for my friend Gino Moore and Joe Pandorino.
Yeah, absolutely. He worked for me. I worked
yeah.
for him.
Yeah,
Yep.
just
And
throw
you
it.
worked for my buddy Dino Santa.
You and I
Oh,
can
yeah.
talk.
Dino. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do it in Spanish.
Did you, Chris? Did you
Right?
ever work for
Vamos a
Ricky
hacerlo
O,
español.
Jersey Pro?
I didn't work for Ricky O. I worked for Dennis Craluzzo.
Oh, Dennis. Oh, Dennis was a good
The
friend of mine.
NWA and Larry. And I worked
Larry
I worked-
Sharp.
Yep, I worked a lot of shows with Donnie B when he was running.
Oh, sure.
Big Slam when he was running.
Walt,
I
my friend
used to
Walt,
do-
the late Walt McDonald. Yeah.
Yep, I used to do a lot of shows in Central New Jersey, and I can't think of the name of the guy that we worked for.
Was
But-
it Tommy Fierro?
It wasn't Tommy. It'll come to me once we're off the air. You know how it
Okay.
is. You know how it is.
Yeah, there's a couple guys around here. You got Tommy Cairo, Tommy Fierro,
Maybe you know what? It might have been Tommy Fierro. It might have been Tommy.
Frankie Casanova.
Oh yeah, I remember Frankie.
Yeah, he's still doing that same bit.
Of course. Of course.
50 plus years old, still doing the same.
No, that's crazy, man. Right?
That gimmick's going to die with him.
Let's hope so.
Right? Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, folks. We will be back tomorrow with the Angry Geeks on behalf of Big Lou Marconi. And Lou, give one more plug for the radio show. Cleveland, what is it?
Cleveland, a Burning River Browns talk on the Fanatical Elves Network and on Rumble every Sunday morning. It is the Sunday Stew Pot.
And Chris, plug away, my friend.
Real Cue Ball Carmichael on Twitter. Just Real Cue Ball on Twitter. You can get me. Got 30,000+ followers on there. Friends with Matt Hardy, a lot of wrestler guys. So jump on Twitter, grab me, and hook up, and let's go.
And Amelia, where can people reach out to the Pitbull?
This guy,
Amelia Valerio Chapman on Facebook. You'll find me there as well. And of
And
course,
you
here
can find
on
her at
Extra
Amelia Texas Girl 1971 on TikTok. We have four.
Oh, I'm gonna come find you now, girl.
Oh yeah,
no, he's gonna see all my videos.
You're gonna love it. She sings with naked cowboys on TikTok.
Hey, guys, it's either this for me or OnlyFans, so I have a choice.
I'm telling you, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you're always at my page, Luke.
Fuck you.
We lost this show tonight. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next time.